So I want to talk about the syllabus, and I'm going to bring that up and kind of scroll through it and just talk about some things that I think you should be aware of. Please do read the syllabus. It lays out everything that you need to know for the course. I mean, it's really important that you understand what's in the syllabus because you'll understand what's expected of you. You'll understand, you know, like requirements and requirements for participation, requirements for, submitting your work, and those sorts of things. So one of the first things I want to talk about is the instructor information at the beginning of the syllabus. So I have my office hours posted. I am located at the Cumberland campus. The best way to get a hold of me is via email. But again, I do have office hours. So if you need to come in and talk with me about anything, I mean, sometimes you just need to see a person face to face in order to really understand and communicate. So I do have office hours if you need to come see me. But other than that, the best way to get in touch with me is via email. You might call me, but chances are you're going to get my voicemail. And my voicemail turns into a message that I get via email. And often that's so garbled that I can't really understand what the person's trying to tell me. So really an email is the best way to get a hold of me. Okay, so make sure that you understand the course objectives. Also make sure that you look at the IDEA course objectives and then the learning outcomes, including the competencies. This is pretty much standard. I mean, we talk about the writing process, the fact that you cannot just sit down the evening or even 2 evenings probably before an essay is due and create a good essay. It just really doesn't happen. I believe that people can have great insights. They can have strokes of genius and come up with a really fantastic idea. That's totally possible. But the issue is, that person would still have to sit down and spend time crafting that idea and developing that really fantastic idea in order to make it a quality essay. We will talk about research conventions. I don't know how many of you have actually written a research before, perhaps in high school. If you have, you may remember doing things like note cards, which are, I praise the teachers who made you do that because it's very important. Those will come back this semester. We will do a version of note cards. But really, just research conventions like, gathering information, developing a thesis that kind of transitions and changes through the course of your research. And then finally coming up with your actual thesis. And then writing an essay that provides all the evidence that supports your stance. Research synthesis, the ability to be able to recognize and use audience-appropriate and college-level research materials, and kind of bring all that information together so that the reader gets an impression of your position. And it isn't just like the teacher's reading what everybody else is saying and they don't have any idea what you're saying. It's so that all of the research kind of culminates in a perspective that you have, okay? Purpose, audience, tone. You do want to vary your audience, and the approach to your audience, I should say. You do want to vary your tone from time to time. Sometimes you want to have a serious tone. Sometimes you want to have a sarcastic or even a mocking tone. I would not so much say in these essays that you'll write this semester, but certainly there are times that are appropriate in which to use, sarcastic tones or really serious tones, or even, respectful or mournful tones. They all have their places. Unity, style, and language. So you want the whole essay to feel as though it flows well together, that it goes together. You don't want to feel as though there are parts that go together, but then the paper feels like it breaks off into something else. Okay, you don't want the paper to have that feeling. Everything should feel like it belongs in that essay. Spelling, punctuation, grammar, which is what most people think about when they think of writing, but it is a part of writing. I mean, if you don't spell things correctly, people will have trouble understanding you. It's like, I'm reading along smoothly in a student's essay, and then there's this misspelled word, and that's like a hiccup in the writing. And so it disrupts the writing. It takes me out of what the writer's trying to say and makes me focus too much on how, the technique or something. So we don't want that to be a problem. Punctuation, I think we understand what that means. Grammar. Grammar includes, the way in which you structure sentences. It includes, it does include punctuation to a degree, but we're gonna talk about those issues as we go along in the semester. Error correction. The farther we go in the semester, the more you want to focus on finding the errors yourself. Okay. So when I send you to the Learning Center, which I will talk about in a few moments, but when I send you there, when I send you to consult with a tutor, I'm not trying to get you to totally give your paper over to another person. I always expect the responsibility to lie with you as a student. But the goal of meeting with a tutor, the whole purpose of that is to help you become more aware of what your problem areas are. And then, as the semester goes on, you kind of will start to see that on your own more and more and more, and you'll be able to correct your own errors. Reading comprehension. I've never met anyone who was a good writer who wasn't also interested in reading and a pretty good reader. So those two things go hand in hand. Writing well and reading go hand in hand. You learn so much by reading that you don't realize you're learning. It's one of the best ways to learn. And I don't just mean like factual information. I mean, it's one of the best ways to learn how to write. Because you're learning how sentences go together. You're learning what makes up an effective sentence structure. So reading is really important. Reading synthesis, that just means that you are able to gather information from different places, and you can apply them to the work that you're doing in this course. And then we have course-specific skills. So students, you're expected to gain additional skills that you might be asked to use during the class, such as, writing timed essays. You have to work with other people, such as when we do the peer reviews, working with a tutor, using the internet, that kind of thing. Okay, I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to start another video picking up with the Tennessee Board of Regents objectives.